picture like it was pretty, and then it starts getting darker the more you look at it.
Oh yeah. I blame TikTok for every little crap that I do.
Oh yeah. Oh here.
And I'm just like, what? What's that kind of picture?
Like if you stare at the picture long enough, you start seeing the like what it's really showing. Look at that. What'd you just look at?
Don't touch it, but look at it. She was like, can you keep it up, please?
Like, alas! We cannot. Alright, here you go. Want to take a picture?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Can we do another one like that one?
Yeah, look directly to the camera.
Oh.
Ready?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought about the camera. You're gonna have to edit that. I've been doing that lately, just flipping everything off.
Oh.
This what's it called? The doorbell cameras?
Oh, the rings? Yeah.
Yeah. I heard one go off and it was all, "You're being recorded." I was all.
Oh man. Okay, so I think we're ready.
Yeah.
So we'll start, and then I'll ask you we'll do a quick intro, and then I'll ask you to introduce yourself, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay.
All right. Hi, you're listening to the Green Bean Podcast with Adrian and friends. I'm Adrian Green, and my co-host today is
J.R. McNutt.
J.R. McNutt, and we have our special guest for episode 2 of this season 2 is
Hi, I'm Nick Dammit.
Nick Dammit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nick Dammit is a tattoo artist here at
Gentle Pricks.
Gentle Pricks. I went blank for a moment there. So you're not just a tattoo artist here, right? You're
Part owner.
part owner. Awesome. And y'all have had it for about 2 years now?
Well, we took over 2 years ago
Okay.
and then changed the name a year ago
Got
on
it.
October 1st.
So it's officially a whole year.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how have things been so far?
Really busy.
Awesome.
Like, I don't have a day off sometimes.
Oh man.
But it's funny, so.
One in room.
Yes.
You know.
There you go. Yeah, take advantage of the opportunities while they're coming. So what brought you into tattooing? Like, were you already a good artist and just looking to expand, or have you always been into art, or you just kind of fell into it?
So, like, I got into tattooing from my cousins.
Okay.
They were tattooed and in gangs.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I would see them like on the kitchen table getting tattooed by like all their friends. Just I thought it was like really cool, and then like my mom was, "No, you're never getting tattooed."
So when you say they're getting tattooed by friends, did they have like a legit tattoo gun, or was it like prison style?
It was
picking?
like prison with like a toothbrush and a pen.
Wow.
Not so gentle pricks.
No.
Not so gentle press. From rough beginnings to gentle press.
It was more like prison style that they were like getting.
Wow. And was it like just simple tattoos, like like
No,
a
like
spider, just like full on,
full body, like full chest, full back,
full pieces?
like legs, like as much as they can like handle, like while they were hanging out together.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So what kind of impression did that leave upon you? Like, how old were you when you were seeing this?
Man. Let's see. They're about like 15 years older than me, so I was probably like 5 or 6,
Wow.
somewhere around there.
Mm.
I was like, I want to be like that one day. My mom was like, no, you're never gonna do that. Never.
Oh wow. So is that kind of what got you drawing and stuff, or?
Yeah, like they would have me like just like trace out like whatever tattoo they were getting, and like like, hey, you need to learn how to do this so we can get it for free. So like drawing like at like a young age, just draw everything I saw. Like the first one I remember drawing was an actual mouse sitting at like a computer with a human as the mouse.
Oh.
So I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I'm drawing that.
Oh wow.
And I still have the picture, like I think it's on my iPad. Like I redrew it like years ago, and I was like, this is the first drawing I've ever like been happy with. And like mom was like, I don't know what's wrong with you. So
Oh man.
she was just like, like fine, whatever, go draw whatever you want. Then it started going to like, cars, like those tuner cars, Hondas and everything. I would draw that like all the time. Then it just evolved over time.
Okay. So how were you in like art classes and stuff in high school? Did you take advantage of those things, or was that like?
I took it in 8th grade.
Okay.
And that's it. That's it.
So like, you didn't like the way the class was? Or
No, I
like
messed up my whole schedule. So like how there's like little blocks in between everything. I thought I had those periods off.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do this one. And then when I was like, hey, can I take an art class? Can I take a foreign class? And they're like, no, you didn't sign up for it.
No.
So I was like, oh man, I just messed up everything.
Oh no.
They're like, choose another language or choose art.
Yeah.
You can't pick. You can't. You can't.
So they just stuck me in like metal trades just to like do that for like 4 years.
For all 4 years?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Wow.
I was like,
Did you like it?
I volunteered to like do the class.
Okay.
I like that a lot better.
Well, cool. So, how did you get into tattooing, officially tattooing?
So, I went to the bar and, everybody that worked at the one downtown years and years ago, I was still in high school, and I was telling them, was like, well, hey, like, can I like work here? They're like, well, we don't really need anything. So I was like, okay. So I'd go up there like every day after high school or like school and just hang out. Like, like see how everybody was doing stuff. Like see how like everybody's like individual style was like different from, like other people just drawing or painting. And I was like, I like that a lot better. That's a way better medium because like painting is just
Strokes.
Yeah, just strokes, and I'm like, nah, I'd get bored with that. It's like just like a general like piece, like it's a lot better for me because I can concentrate on that a lot more.
Okay.
So like going over there, like hanging out with them, they were drinking at a bar one night, and I just showed up, and I was like, hey, like what are you guys up to? Like, oh, nothing. We're just like talking about our new shop, and I was like, wait, what? Like what new shop? So they started the one over there by Wagon Wheel.
Okay.
And they were like, yeah, like like you said you wanted to like work for us like a while back. Well, like now we have like a spot open for you. Like just cleaning, mopping, taking appointments. I was like, I'll be there Tuesday.
Wow.
And they were like, okay. So started off doing that, getting paid like like $20 a day, $40, whatever was coming in. Like they would like tip me for cleaning up after them.
Right. Oh, cool. Okay.
And then like just as soon as we got to this place, they were like, well, hey, do you want to apprentice? I was like, no, not really. Like I'm fine like working the front. I was like, no, I don't want to mess anybody up. And they're like, okay, we'll just teach you. So they're like, okay, like it's like teaching, like how to do everything, drawing up my own tattoos to get on me.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that sucks. It's gonna be horrible.
So, what is the first tattoo you drew for yourself?
I did a Pac-Man on myself when I was like 14.
Oh wow. Gosh.
And I did it in the style of like how my cousins were getting it.
Okay.
Just like with like a safety pin, a toothbrush, and an electric motor from like a cassette player.
Okay, so what's the purpose of the toothbrush? Okay, so I can visualize the safety pin, and what's the toothbrush?
It's basically like, you know, just like how you're drawing.
Okay.
So like you have like the pin.
Okay.
And like how the ink like flows down through that. Basically just like that.
Okay.
So it just like creates like
Okay.
a little guide, like a little paintbrush.
Okay.
And it hurt so bad because I had no idea what I was doing. I watched them do it years ago, forgot everything. There wasn't really like YouTube to like look to see like how everything was done.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like
Oh,
14
man.
at the time. So I couldn't go to like a tattoo shop and then like ask them like, hey, can I watch you like do this so I can do it on myself? No, it doesn't work like that now.
Go home.
Go back to school.
We're calling your parents.
Yeah. Like, I know your mom. I'm gonna tell her. And eventually she found out.
Oh,
And it was bad.
So when you say bad, like grounding
Like,
bad.
like switches, belts,
Junkless.
everything thrown at me. Yeah.
Ah, nostalgic childhood.
Like it was not fun for that whole week.
Oh man.
Lord.
Gosh. So, what has been a good one of your favorite experiences to look back on being tattooed?
I don't really think there is like a really like memorable one.
Or about you? How about you getting a tattoo?
There was one I did for a lady who passed away, and it was a rose with like her name in it, and like the daughter was just like so emotional like through it. I was like, hey, we don't have to continue. Like we can like, you know, we can just do the outline, come back later, like, you know, whatever you need. She was like, no, like we can get through it. So we powered through it, and the whole time she was just like crying the whole time. Like her mom really meant like a lot to her. So like I felt that like while I was doing the tattoo, and like I did get emotional like when we were talking about like everything that like, you know, how they were and how I am with my mom. It kind of like resonated like inside of me, and I was just like, okay, I can't cry because if I cry it gets on the tattoo, and that's not good. So like we finished the tattoo, she gave me a hug and just continued to like, you know, go about her day. I saw it a couple weeks ago and she was like, hey, it still looks good. I'm like, oh, alright, that's awesome. And she like gave me like this biggest hug, and right then and there it just broke down again.
No.
I was like, no.
No.
Oh man.
Sentimental.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I guess like the stereotypical thing I have in my head is that when people come in, they'll talk about their tattoo or why they want it. Is that always the case?
It's not like Inkmaster.
I've never seen it.
Oh, okay. So it's not like an interview where they're like, you know, like, oh, well, yeah, you know, this person really meant a lot to me, or this tattoo like symbolizes something for me.
Right.
It's really not like that. Like somebody will come in with like a design, like, okay, cool, like when do you want to do it? Like, you know, we'll do it like 2 weeks from now. They show up, and like most of the time it's not personal at all. Like if it's somebody's kids, yeah. But if it's just like a random like design, there's no like story behind it at all. It's just, I just want a tattoo.
Do you have anything that you won't do? 'Cause I've heard some people will be like, I won't do girlfriend names or spouse names.
I try to stay away from names. There was a guy who came in at the old shop. He would come in every other week with a different girl, get her name tattooed on him. Then come in 2 weeks later, get it covered up.
Oh wow.
2 weeks later, come in with a different girl, get her name tattooed on him.
Wow.
So like that's when I first saw, I was like, okay, it's really bad to get somebody's name on you.
Oh yeah.
And like he did that for at least like 5 or 6 women.
Wow.
like I want to say like he went in a lot, and it would just be like somebody new every single time. Like, yeah, I love her. I'm gonna marry her. Like, no,
No.
that's what
No,
you
you're
said
not.
last week. It's not gonna happen now.
Oh man, I remember I had somebody tell me that they wanted to get my initials tattooed like behind their ear.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, this seems like a red flag.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, because he goes, it's AG, but my daughter's name, is AG too. And I was like, it's still weird, guy. It's still weird.
It's kinda creepy.
I was like, we've been dating for like less than a year.
I've had people come in and like try to have me do Nazi stuff.
Oh,
And I was like, that's kind of pointless because you're getting a Mexican dude to do Nazi stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, like, I refuse to do that. Like any lightning bolts, like SS, Iron Eagles, or whatever they're called. Like, no, I just can't do that. Like, it's not right.
Do they, like, after they ask you about it, do they understand, like, the irony?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Like, I kind of explained it to them, and they were like, oh, yeah, I guess I could see that now. I was like, okay, so say you do get it. And then, like, I post a picture of it.
Yeah.
That goes on, like, Instagram or something like that. Their brothers see it. And then they're like, oh, hey, where'd you get that from? It's like, oh, some white dude down the street. Like, no, I know where you got it from. Yeah. Like, I've seen him before at Walmart.
You're gonna have a bad time.
That's not gonna go well.
Oh, man. Are they ever like, oh, okay, how many white guys here?
Yeah. Like, there been a few times where I'm just like, no. Like, we had Mia in here, and like they would ask her to do it. It's like, no, I refuse. I was like, why? Like, why? Like, because it's a Nazi thing.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah. No, I have standards.
Yeah.
Then you'll get a prison tag.
Sorry. You can go to jail for that.
Right, there you go. They'll do it in there.
Yeah. It's like, I'll teach them how to make the machine over there.
Yeah, if we do it, we did not see you. Nazi.
Not seeing you. I see what you did there.
No, you did not.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our first segment for the Green Bean Podcast here with J.R. McNutt and Nick Dammit. So stick around, and we'll be right back. Cool. All right. We'll take a quick drink.
It's like, if I cuss, I'm sorry.
Oh, damn it.
You can guess on everything. Right?
Just refrain from the F word.
Okay.
And Nazi.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Better than that.
Okay.
I think everything else is.
I was gonna ask about like if you ever had like drunk people coming in that you had to pass on, and also if there was any tattoos that were so ridiculous aside from a Nazi tattoo.
Yes, I have a lot of stories about that.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so we'll get into that here in a bit. You ready? Okay. Welcome back. You're listening to the Green Bean Podcast with Adrian Green
And J.R. McNutt.
and our guest today,
Nick Dammit.
Nick Dammit. So, Nick, I don't think I ever explained to you what our podcast is about.
No.
So this podcast is about growth. So growth in your business, your craft, your art, personal development, whatever it is. I love celebrating growth because wherever you're at now is so much further than where you are day one. And so the only thing, I feel like the only way to do anything is if you love it, just keep going and keep pushing.
Yes.
And just put the work in, and then it'll all shake out in the end.
Oh, yeah.
So that is what our podcast is about. Also on this podcast, I love to hear about, the ups and downs. Have you had any hardships or anything you had to overcome to get to this point of being a part owner in the shop?
Not lately. Like, we've been doing good about, like paying the bills, keeping everything on, getting people in here, doing as much stuff as we can for the shop and for people outside the shop too.
Okay.
So we did a fundraiser for the El Paso shooting a couple years ago. And we raised over $2,000 for that.
Wow.
Nice.
We also did one for the flooding down there in Houston. I think it was Houston.
Because I know there's been maybe a time or two where I've come across posts where you'll have, bring in, you'll have like a food drive or like collecting money to.
Like I usually do,
or
the
something.
majority of the stuff I do is for kids.
Okay.
So one month I just decided, my mom works at the school and she was telling me that some kids like had like overdue lunch like bills and stuff. So I was like, okay, why don't I just like raise money for that and pay off all that debt?
Cool. How'd that go?
Oh, really good. We went to Goliad and I walked in there and they were like, hey, hi, like, are you here for your kid? And I'm like, no.
They're like, whoa, what are you here for?
like I'm here to pay off debt. And they're like, let me get the principal real quick. It's like a tattooed guy coming into a school, like, no, it's not good. So I talked to them, I was like, hey, I raised a lot of money, from the shop, and I'm wanting to pay off some, like, the school lunch debt. And she was like, what? It's like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, like, take me to the cafeteria. And she was like, okay, so we went to the cafeteria, and I was like, okay, how much is, like, like, the commutative, like, debt
right.
for, like, the kids right now? And she was like, it's about like $300. I was like, okay, so I pull out like a big stack of cash and I was like, okay, well, here's all that. And she's like, are you serious? I was like, yeah. Like, people like donated this to me to pay for like all these kids' debt.
Right.
So we went to like the school that my mom works at, went over there and I was like, hey, like, she told them I was coming. She didn't tell Goliad I was coming.
Oh, okay.
So they were more prepared than Goliad was.
Right.
So I walked in there and they were like, hey, are you Diana's son? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay, let's go to the cafeteria. I'm like, okay, I didn't have to ask anything.
Right.
So went in there and like paid off like whatever I had left over and then pitched in my own money too.
Cool.
So I think they had like $400 or something like that. And I really want to continue that, but it's really hard for like all those kids to go through like all that too.
Yeah.
So like I went through that whenever I was younger, free food, whatever.
Right.
So like now I'm at the point in my life where I can get back to that.
Yeah.
And then like make like my younger self like happier to pay for all that.
Cool.
Way to put that.
So, is that pretty much in a nutshell how you would describe why your causes are like kid geared?
Yeah.
Aimed at kids.
It's like more like pleasing like my inner child than anything really. Like I don't really know. Like I'd rather like see like those kids happy because of like something like I can do rather than like them like struggling.
Right.
So like if I can help out as much as I can, like I'm going to do that. Like I don't care like how much time and money I need, but that's just what I'm gonna do.
Okay. So like what kind of struggles like growing up did you face?
So I didn't really have a dad growing up.
Okay.
He basically said like I'm not his kid, I'm my mom's prom date kid.
Ooh, jeez.
And like my mom was about maybe like 20 something when she had me. It's like prom is when you're like 17, 18.
Yeah.
So I'm like that timeline doesn't like add up. So my mom was basically my mom and dad at the same time. So like I owe her a lot more than like I can give right now, or like any time in my life. I owe her a lot. So like growing up like that, they got divorced and
Sorry.
she took on the role of like everything, and like not having that in my life like kind of just went like downhill from there. So I was like, like sneaking out, being like really disobedient, and like getting like punished, like just for like little things like not doing dishes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like now that I'm older, like I appreciate what she has done for me like 10 times over.
Right.
So I can take her out to eat like as much as I can, spend as much time with her as I can, take her on any trips or like whatever she wants to like buy. I'm like, okay, I'll buy it. No, I don't want it. I'm like, you're getting it.
Yeah.
I'm paying you back, Mama.
Yeah.
I
So-
love that.
What would you say was like the turning point where like something just finally clicked? You're like, whoa, like I need to be treating my mom a lot better.
She was gonna send me to boot camp one time. And I was like,
How old were you
I
back
think
then?
I was like 13.
Uh-huh.
No, like 14, 13, somewhere around there.
Mm.
Like I had snuck out of the house, and she had seen me, like in the parking lot, and I was like, I was hanging out with my friends. She saw me, and I was like, oh no! I took off running home, and she was like right behind me the whole time. I'm like, as soon as I get in the house, like run to my room, she's like, "You're going to boot camp." I was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
I was like, "No." She was like, "Yep, they're gonna shave your head and everything." I had long, like black hair, so I was like, "No, all that work for nothing."
Oh man.
So I was like, okay, like I'm done, like, trying to be like the problem child. So I went to school, messed up a little bit, but I mean, that's just school.
Right.
Graduated, I was the first one to graduate in my siblings. And like after, like she told me like she was like proud of me for like graduating, I was like, okay, that's it, we're changing. It's like we're doing like everything we can now.
Oh, cool.
Man.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are some? I know you mentioned that this, y'all really haven't had any tough times like with the shop wise or like business wise.
Mhm.
Things have just been kind of rolling along pretty well.
Yeah.
Are there anything personal since you've opened the shop or like since you've been here with Gentle Pricks? Has there been anything that happened to you personally that kind of affected you and kind of impacted your role here?
I had a friend commit suicide, and we were painting the floors. This was like years ago, and I was just like dropping whatever I'm doing, running over to his house. And like while that was going on, like I had a real bad death anxiety, and I didn't leave my room for 6 months. So like after that, like I had like real bad like agoraphobia, and I could not go outside, couldn't go anywhere, like just stayed in my room, lost 50 pounds from not eating. And like one day I had to go to a doctor's appointment, and I was like, okay, well, nobody can take me, just put my headphones in and just walk. Didn't even realize I was outside the house until I got there. They were like, hey, like, how are you? What are you doing here? I was like, I'm here for my doctor's appointment. Like, you left the house, right? I was looking around and I'm like, nah, no way. I was like, music like helped me a lot getting over it, because it just like it's like that grand escape to like just open up everything. So I didn't realize it, and I called my mom and I was like, hey, I'm at my doctor's appointment. She's like, how the hell did you get there? I was like, I just put my headphones in and I walked. And she was like, I'm coming over there right now. Are you sure you're okay? So I was just like, yeah, like I'm fine. Like I'm just gonna I'm probably gonna go get something to eat after this. And then like people would like see me like out and they're like, I haven't seen you in like almost a year. Like, what are you doing out? I'm like, I don't know. It's like I'm just gonna go get food.
Well, cool. That's interesting how it just kind of, not that you forgot about it, but that it just.
I mean, it was really hard. Like, anxiety is just like one weird little thing, and it affects like everybody like differently. Like somebody can just be like, you know, like, I don't want to talk to like anybody. I'm just gonna stay in the corner and just like, you know, enjoy myself. Some people will just like worry about a lot of things, and it'll eat them from the inside out. Like you'll get like stomach cramps, like the brain fog where you don't remember anything. Health wise, I was a bad hypochondriac too. I thought I had like cancer.
Oh man.
I thought like my foot was falling off. Like every little thing. Like, don't go to WebMD if you have anxiety.
So what shifted? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What shifted you from being a hypochondriac? Are you still a hypochondriac? Do you feel like on some level?
Not as much now. I mean, there's still little tidbits. I'm like, okay, well, like my nail is like discolored in like one little part, so I'll look that up, and you know, like different little ways you can like find out something wrong with your body or your fingernails.
Right. My liver.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
jaundice.
I still like don't like going to many places. Like Walmart, that's fine because I can just go in there, grab stuff, whatever I need,
right.
just go home. Like big open like concert places, like I just can't do it.
Wow. Okay. I know, like for a span of time, like I would get real anxious about driving on the interstate.
Yeah.
And I think it would be because all the big trucks, and like my mom, she would freak out whenever we'd be driving together and there'd be like big trucks or whatever. So she'd like tense up and be like, and then I think that just kind of like trickled over into me, and I would get tense, and then I'd be like, just like holding on to the steering wheel with like super, all my might.
Especially going to Midland now.
Yeah, it's just like driving through the Thunderdome. It's just, it's so.
It took me out. It took me out.
And and then I would also have this thing where like if I was driving up a hill, like for whatever reason in my head I would think, oh my god, the bridge is blown out on the other side of this hill.
Oh
it's
my
gonna
God.
be like a straight crash. Because if I can't see the other cars coming at me, I'm just like, there's nobody there. What happened?
Or just like thinking like you're going over a hill and somebody else is coming up in the same way.
And just all these things would go through my head. And I would like start off driving fine, and then all of a sudden my brain would be like, hey, remember that thing you're really scared of?
Yeah.
Surprise!
Prepare for
a spider right there.
Yeah. And then I think what also triggered it was that bus crash that happened on I-20, where like it was like they slipped on black ice, went over the railing, and they crashed into a train on the way down. And I thought, and it was a prison chain bus or whatever. And I thought, what? Like those are like all the worst things that I've ever thought that could happen.
All at once.
Like I had often thought, well, you know, even if I do go over the railing, I mean, it's not like I'm gonna get hit by a train. Oh my God, you can get hit by a train on the way down.
Yeah.
Whoa, what
and
kind
the
of
soggy bottom boys have escaped.
like what? Whoa.
Oh man.
Wow. It's like,
It's just
that's the
little
thing.
things like that, you know, that just like and they can take over your day or like weeks.
Yeah.
And
once you sit still, like that's whenever it all comes into play.
It's like your mind is just like constantly racing about like all these different scenarios, and you're as soon as like you put yourself like past that point, like all that stuff is like back there.
Yeah.
So you're just like, okay, it wasn't even that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, that's going to do it for this segment of the Grooming Podcast with Adrian and friends. And when we come back, we'll talk more to Nick Dammit, see what else he's got going on, see what kind of stories fun stories he'd like to share with us, and where we can find him on social media and here at the shop. So stay tuned. You're listening to the Grooming Podcast with Adrian Green and friends.
Oh yeah. I gotta stand up. I was gonna move my phone earlier, and then I was all.
Yeah,
I went swimming right before I got here.
I gotta swim.
Let's do it. I'll go out there with you.
Okay. Keys.
I was gonna flip it off again. I was like, that's a lot of editing.
Flip it on again.